Everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools channel. Thought I was going to be late there for a minute. Um, had some technical issues. How's everybody doing today? Once again, guys, back at it. Back at it. Come on in. Say hi. Welcome to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel where we're dedicated to teaching you about tools. We're all about home improvement, all about the trades. That's the wheelhouse that we're in. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I love talking about. I love teaching you guys stuff. I love learning from you guys because once again, it's not a one-way street here, guys. You guys come in the chat, you teach me stuff, we talk about things, we talk about issues. You know, the thing about lives is that I get to meet you guys and talk about different things other than tools, right? You got to talk about social issues, economic issues, sometimes political stuff that impact our lives, especially when it relates to the trades. I always try to tie it back into the trade. So come on in. Well, DIY, the trades, tools, all that good stuff, right? I try to just run around those three circles right there. Come on in the chat and say hi. Don't be scared. Always love to have you guys come on in. And hey, Cha Cha Girl, happy Tuesday. I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? That's Cha Cha Girl. I haven't seen her in a while. Guys, I love when you come in the chat and let me know that you're there. I can see how many people are actually watching right now, but when you come in the chat, that lets me know that, you know, hey, that you actually care enough to say hi and let your presence be felt. You know, so we can have a back and forth going. So Cha Cha Girl, she says she's been working. I hear you. I'm good. I've been working myself. You know, I was just talking about you earlier. So like, I haven't seen Cha Cha Girl in a while, and I must have spoke you up. There you go. I was like, Cha Cha Girl's tired of me. Hey, the Waffle 2, how you doing? Good evening. Good to see you. Glad you dropped in. Glad you guys dropped in. So anybody else watching on the replay, you know, if it's your first time coming to the channel, checking me out, this bald head guy talking about tools, you know, consider subscribing. There's some good content. I try to put out the best content I can in my own way, and that's the way we should do it, right? We shouldn't try to be anybody else but ourselves. Hey, Cha Cha Girl, I miss you too. Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to get right into it, guys. We're going to talk about some things you should think about. What's going on with me today? I need some water or something. Things you should think about when you're going to approach a home renovation project. Most of it has to do with safety, and I think it's very important, guys, because like I always say, I'm around tools all the time, and I see the things that can happen to you if you're not safe. A matter of fact, this past couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of burns on my arms because I do a lot of welding, and sometimes I cover up. Sometimes it slips my mind, and I don't cover up like I should. And next thing you know, I got stuff all over my arms and stuff, burns. I was like, man, you big, because it's like, wow, safety first, guys. Never neglect, right? Don't just say, oh, well, it'll be all right if I do it this way. Nothing's going to happen this time. It's only for a couple of seconds. That's when everything's going to go wrong, guys, okay? Yeah, that's when everything's going to go wrong. When you neglect, you say, hey, it'll be all right. Nothing's going to happen today. And you don't wear your safety goggles. You don't wear your clothing, safety clothing, your gloves. And yeah, it's not good, Cha Cha Girl. It's not good. And I always got to kick myself when those things happen, right? So I figured I'd get on here today and say, look, never neglect it at all. So we're going to talk about some of the things you should think about when you're, it's not just about safety this live, but a lot of it is. All right, guys, so let's jump right into it. If you're going to approach a home renovation project, right, you definitely want to start with safety, right? So let's start with that, okay? You want to wear the proper clothing, okay? Like I said, I do a lot of welding. I use a lot of power tools. A lot of sparks fly all the time when I'm working. And, a lot of times we ignore sparks. We think, oh, they're bouncing off the walls. They're bouncing off our clothes. They don't even burn. They don't do anything. Wrong way to think. I have an arm full of burns right now. I'm not going to show you because I got lazy. And I said, hey, I'm not going to worry about sparks. And that's when it got me. Okay. And that can be with anything, not just sparks. Let's just say you're spray painting or you're using a paint sprayer and you have all those chemicals flying around. That stuff can get in your skin, not just in your lungs, but it can get in your skin. You may not feel the effects right away, right? But let's just say 6 months down the line, maybe even years down the line, you feel the effects of being negligent about your safety, about protecting your lungs, protecting your skin, all that good stuff. Let's just say you're spraying pesticides, not just paint, but pesticides, herbicides in your garden or something like that, and you're not wearing the proper gloves, you're not wearing the right face covering, respirators, and stuff like that. That stuff will kill you. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, if you keep neglecting that your health when it comes to that stuff, it will catch up to you in the long run. It's just like eating bad, right? You keep eating bad, you don't feel it right away. Then 10 years later, you go to get your you go to get your physical, and you go to get the blood test, and they come back, and you got all these things wrong with you, right? Cholesterol's high, your blood pressure's high, all this stuff because you just kept eating wrong, right? You never stopped to think, hey, I need to protect my health, right? Because what do you have without health? You don't have anything. I don't care how much money you got, how many things you have. If you don't have your health, you're pretty much done. Okay. This is another thing that people neglect when it comes to home renovations or doing any kind of home improvement project is their hearing, your ears. Okay. These babies right here, we take them for granted. But let's just say you're around a lot of grinding, cutting, loud noises, like construction site stuff, and you don't wear the proper ear protection. Guess what? Your ears will get damaged over time. You will start experiencing hearing loss, and you won't know where it came from, right? People, they're talking to you, and they can't, you can't hear them, and they say, well, I said that to you like 5 times because you didn't hear it. And you wonder why that happened. Well, it's because you didn't protect your ears. You got to protect your ears. You got to protect all the entry points: nose, ears, eyes. Okay, we'll get to nose in a second. Let's jump to eyes. Eyes is pretty much a no-brainer. Eyes are pretty much a no-brainer. I work around, like I said, and I'm going to keep repeating it because that's where I am right now. I work around a lot of power tools. I'm using them all the time. Sparks flying, metal flying, debris flying, dust flying everywhere all the time. Okay. And if you don't have the proper eye protection, you're going to be jacked up, man. Your eyes, some of that stuff flies in your eye, just a little spark, or a little fleck or a flick of or a piece of metal or wood that gets in your eye, you're done. Hey, Perigo Life Notes. Was looking for you on a few chats to chime. Oh, you talking? Okay. Yeah. It's Perigo Life Notes there. One of my other ride or dies there. Back in the saddle. Yeah, so once again, guys, you got to protect your eyes. Okay? You got to protect your eyes. I've had stuff hit my eyelid, and I say to myself, that could have been right in my eye, right? Right in my eye, and I would have been, man, there's so many close calls I could think of, right? All because I was being negligent, right? But to be fair, sometimes you're wearing those goggles and stuff, you're wearing the face shield, and the stuff still gets under it or goes over it, and it still gets in your eye. I don't know how that happens, but it does happen. So I suggest just doing overkill on safety. You want to go overkill on safety, man, because these things, they get behind this. Sometimes they get in your gloves. You're wearing all the clothes and everything, and they get in the glove. Like welding, for instance, right? There's a welding process called flux core welding, right? There's different types of welding process. It's one of the most volatile. I don't want to say in a bad way, but it's more aggressive than the other types like MIG or TIG, and even stick. It's pretty volatile. Throws off a lot of sparks, and if you don't wear the right clothing, like if you can put on a normal welding jacket, right, which the fabric is not, you'll wear it for MIG or TIG or something like that, or even for stick. But I would say with flux core welding, if you're just wearing a regular jacket, welding jacket, that's the sparks from flux core so hot it's going to burn through the jacket, and that's how I got a lot of burns the past couple of weeks on my arm, because I was wearing the wrong jacket. So I made sure that the next couple of days I wore like a leather It's almost like leather. It's like hide or something, like cowhide type of jacket where it doesn't burn through as much. It's harder to get through, right? Because when that stuff hits you, man, it doesn't feel good. It can even get in your shoes. It can get in your. You might say, well, why would I want to do welding if all that stuff's going to happen? Yeah. Sometimes I question myself too. It's like I didn't come in here to get burnt up, but it's all about safety, right? It's all about knowing the proper safety procedures, uh, whatever you're doing, right? If it's a more aggressive type of work, then you need more aggressive type of safety equipment, right? You need thicker shoes, thicker clothing, thicker gloves, and a proper eye shield with a hood to cover your neck, or because stuff can get in here, it can go under your shield. So you want to be able to cover everything, like totally sealed. Okay, I'm telling you from experience. So we talked about ears, right? Got to protect your ears. Once again, I'm kind of backtracking, but yeah, hearing loss, guys. Hearing loss is a sneaky one because you don't know what's happening. You don't know what's like something can hit you in your eye. It can hit you in your eye, or it can burn your skin. You feel that right away. But with your ears, you don't feel it right away. It's a slow death, of your of your hearing, I should say. I don't know if that's a phrase, but yeah, it happens over time. You don't notice it with your hearing, right? You're around this loud stuff, and it's like, that's just how it is on a work site or whatever, and it's killing your eardrums. It's killing your hearing, and yeah. So another thing, when you're on a construction site or work site, or doing a renovation at home, you're doing some DIY projects. One of the most necessary tools we need is what? Is a ladder, right? A ladder. But a ladder can be your best friend. It can be your worst enemy. And I think in a video I talked about safety tips a while back. I'll tell you one thing: never put your tools on a ladder. Don't put them on top of the ladder. Don't rest them on the steps, because they will fall off, guaranteed. They'll fall on you. They'll fall and hit the ground and break apart. They may not look like they're broken, but the insides of them can get damaged. All because you put it on the ladder and you just said, "Oh, I'll just put it on there for a second," and you turn around, you nudge the ladder, and next thing you know, it falls off. And I remember a while back, I didn't pay attention. I had a big drill with the battery pack on it and everything, and it fell off the ladder and landed right on top of my head. I didn't have a hard hat on or anything like that. And trust me, I felt that thing for days. Had a big knot on my head. Just things like that you got to think about, right? Okay, so aside from that stuff, when you're approaching like a project or anything, you want to think about permits and codes and stuff like that. You don't want to neglect getting your permits, because they can come back and tell you, hey, you did that wrong. An inspector can come in and say, hey, look, that's not right. Tear it all down. Okay, tear it all down. That's one of the worst feelings that you can have. It hasn't happened to me, but I know it has. I know people that it's happened to, and sometimes people think they can just get away with stuff, and they go ahead and build whatever they want to build, and next thing you know, they have a neighbor that doesn't like them and sees them building something in the backyard or doing an addition, and the neighbor said, hey, calls the inspector on them, and the inspector knocks on the door and comes to check it out and tells them tear it all down. It's just things like that you got to look at, guys. Ventilation. Let me backtrack and see if anybody's coming here. Berry Girl Lino says, safety is important when you're doing any kind of job, even office. Yeah, that's right. DIY jobs, people kind of let down their guard and think it's not necessary. It's very necessary, especially when it comes to permits, right? You neglect getting the right permits, complying with the proper codes. It's going to bite you. It's going to bite you in the what, and not just the pocketbook, but everything else, right? You lose money, you lose, it's just, I'm not trying to be a goody two shoes here, but sometimes you got to be when it comes to stuff like that, right? What's the point in building something and you got to tear it down all because of some code that you didn't want to follow? Okay, so when you're out there doing your DIY projects, guys, you want to make sure that you're in a well ventilated area. Okay, because that dust. I know we talked about sparks and all that stuff, but dust is another culprit. You got to be careful, right? I've seen I've seen uh, I've seen guys grinding away with their orbital sanders or their grinders, and no type of respirator on, no type of mask, no, not even eyewear. And it's just like, I'm fine. I'm thinking to myself, man, does this person even care about their lungs at all? It's like a cloud of smoke. The dust is just, yeah, dust is the waffle too. Yeah, absolutely. Dust is a big killer, man. It's a culprit of a lot of things. People say, you shouldn't smoke and all that, but yeah, that person doesn't smoke. He or she is out there grinding away, doing a DIY project or working on a construction site or something like that, and they don't have the proper lung protection. It's ridiculous. I just don't understand it. Paragood Life Notes, or they want to use their house for group home, and now the inspection reveals no permits. Yeah. Backtracking to the permit thing. Absolutely. Paragood Life Notes says a lot of people, they want to use their home or turn it into some kind of group home or something like that, where inspections are required, and they get tagged. So yeah, so I was talking about the ventilation, guys. Ventilation is very important. You gotta have some kind of fan or something like that, or open your windows, open your doors, especially if you're painting. The chemicals from the paint. If you're grinding or anything like that, that dust is going to fly. And sometimes it's not even visible, right? You say, oh, there's no dust. Don't trust that at all. If you're grinding something, it's always going to be some kind of particulate flying around, even if you can't see it. Okay, and don't say it's fine. And you're going to inhale that stuff. If you inhale it enough times, it's going to get lodged in the capillaries in your lungs, and you're going to start having problems. Okay, if you're asthmatic or something like that, that's even worse. Okay, so think about ways to reduce your dust. You might want to use tools that, if it's a small job, you may want to use tools that don't produce a lot of dust, like chisels or something like that, or you just gotta chip away something. You don't need a big grinder or a big orbital sander to chip off a little piece of paint or debris or something. Like get a chisel or something that doesn't produce dust. And you just want to think about little things like that. Okay. What else? Here's another thing. If it's very hot outside, don't underestimate how fast you can get dehydrated. Okay, you can get dehydrated and not even know it. Okay, and you can feel it later, and it can come. If you pass out or something, you wonder why. It's like because you didn't drink enough water. You didn't hydrate. You got to hydrate yourself if you're in a hot climate. And hey, the opposite goes for colder climates as well. Believe it or not, you want to hydrate in a cold climate too. You want to hydrate in all climates. You need that to keep your organs, functioning properly, keep them from not drying out or anything like that. So don't neglect hydration of your body when you're outside. Okay. All right. What else do we have here? All right. This when it comes to doing projects and stuff like that, say you complete your project. We talked about stuff that can happen during. Safety also applies after you're done, right? You don't want to leave tools laying on the floor where somebody can run into them or walk on them and slip and fall or anything like that. You want to clean up any kind of dust that's around, vacuum it up. You want to clean the walls because, believe it or not, walls accumulate dust. They do. Walls do accumulate dust, so you want to clean them thoroughly. And you want to be a clean freak when it comes to this stuff, okay? Because stuff can get left behind and cause problems later. Okay, you want to put all your tools away. Like I said, put them all away. Become an organizational clean freak is what I said. What I say, and that's not just good for the area that you're working in, whether it's at home or at work, but it's just good for your mental health, right? I find that being organized, and I'm not the most organized person. I'm a work in progress. I find that being organized it's like therapy, right? You could have some stuff going on in your life where you don't even want to think about it. But just, if you start cleaning your house, you start getting organized, I don't know, funny thing happens. You start feeling better. You know, it's like letting the I don't know, the energy flow better in your house when it's or wherever you are, office, work site, whatever. Um, it flows better when everything's put away where they need to be. They're not laying around, and you don't have to look for stuff twice. Anybody in the trades will tell you that they oftentimes have to look for their tools 2 or 3 times, and they end up buying a tool 2 or 3 times because they can't find the original one because they don't know where it is. Not necessarily their fault. Somebody else could have took it and moved it. And it's really hectic because all the time that you lose just looking for stuff is ridiculous. I think a good part of my day is spent looking for a particular tool, and because I'm not the only one working, right? And I'm not blaming the people I work with, but we all have a hand in it. We take something and we move it around, and it's not there when we go to look for it, and then it's just crazy, right? So have a designated place to put your tools. Don't just have them scattered around in the garage or something like that, all over the garage or something. This is your toolbox. This is where you have your equipment, and keep it there, right? Even if you don't feel like walking halfway or all the way back to the garage from the other side of the house or the yard to put that one little tool away, develop that discipline to do that, and you'll see how quickly and that the workflow happens, right? Because everything's where it's supposed to be. You're not spending half a day looking for things. Can anybody identify with that? Say yes in the chat. All right. Yeah, the waffle too. Absolutely. Clean up the trip hazards, man. I've tripped over a lot of stuff, and it's sometimes funny, but it can be quite dangerous. You can you can trip and fall and land in an ant's nest, right? You don't want anybody ever stepped in an ant's nest? It's not a good feeling. Yeah, it's not a good feeling, right? So, not trying to be funny or anything, but yeah, the trip hazards are the worst, man. They're the worst because they can send you flying, like, especially if you have something sharp in your pocket or something sharp in your hand. Uh, no telling how you're going to land with that stuff. If you do trip with something sharp in your hand, throw it like away from you before you land, okay? So you won't land on that thing, right? Just toss it away, toss it on the ground. Hopefully it's not a power tool or something. Try to lightly toss it or something like that, because trying to cradle it like a football in the end zone, that could be I don't know, that could be pretty, it may not turn out well for you, right? So yeah, absolutely, the waffle too. Designated place for tools. Absolutely, have a designated place for your stuff. Man, it saves time. It saves time and frustration. Time and frustration. Okay. I get frustrated all the time when I'm looking for that one little adapter I need to put in my impact drill or something like that. And or whatever it is. It could be anything, right? Speed square or whatever you're using. It's the small ones, right? It's the small ones. It's not the big tools, right? It's not like a 100-pound welder or something like that. You're not gonna really lose that. But no, let me take that back. They have come up missing. Welders have come up missing, so yeah, they can get lost, right? All right. What else? What else should we consider as far as safety, guys? As far as safety, yes. Okay. You know what? Let's jump into this. What we should consider when we're doing DIY projects. If you're going to do DIY projects, you should have the 811 number at your fingertips, right? Especially if you're drilling into walls, by bathrooms or by laundry rooms or by kitchens and stuff like that, where pipes are. Because if you hit one of those pipes and they start leaking and you don't know about the leak, let's just say you're drilling in the wall and you want to put up a socket or something, and you don't know you hit a pipe with the drill bit, right? You drill too deep. You didn't have any idea where all the water lines were, and you hit that thing and you say, oh, everything's fine. You don't see anything. And you go to bed or you go out and you come back or you get up out of bed and your whole house is flooded. You're knee deep or ankle deep in water. It's because sometimes those leaks, they don't break out of the wall like the Kool-Aid man. No, they're slow. Sometimes they're trickles and they come out of the pipe behind your walls and they flood everything, right? So you want to make sure before you start any kind of home renovation project, you want to call 811, not 911. 911 might cause more damage than I'm not gonna go there, but you want to call 811. They'll tell you where all the underground utility lines are and stuff like that, right? Because you can hit an electrical line, you can hit a water line, so you want to talk to them. Call 811 to find out where the stuff is, especially in older buildings. You want to know this stuff, okay? Here's another one. What's the biggest spider you ever seen, guys? What's the biggest spider? Somebody tell me in the chat. What's the biggest spider you ever seen? Yeah, 811, the Waffle 2. 811. That's the number to find out where your utility lines are and, stuff like that, okay? Prayer Girl Life Notes keeps your tools from being damaged. Yeah. What's the biggest spider? And can anybody tell me what the biggest spider they ever seen? They got some big ones out there. A friend of mine told me she went to a zoo in a foreign country, and they're not as manicured and as the ones over here. The Waffle 2 said size of a quarter spider. Well, yeah, this friend of mine, the Waffle 2, she said she went to a zoo in a foreign country, and guess how big the spider was that she saw in that zoo in that country? The size of her purse, and she has a big purse. She has a kind of, the purse where like it's so heavy, and I don't know how a lot of women do it. They're carrying, I guess, women carry babies, right? Like big babies, but this, so carrying a purse to them, I guess, is just, I don't know, it's nothing, I guess, but her purse is like this, like that big. And she said in this zoo in this foreign country, she saw a spider the size of her purse. Do any guys believe that? Yeah, I mean, in those foreign countries, it was an African country. I think it was Zambia or something like that. And yeah, the animals. I mean, some of those animals over there are pretty humongous. Yeah, African spider as big as your purse. Very good life knows. Yeah, exactly. That's what she said. Yeah. The Waffle 2 said I'm giving them arachnophobia. No, I'm not trying to do that. I mean, spiders, they have their place, right? I mean, they're part of the ecosystem. They prey on pests and stuff like that. And some spiders, they prey on flies and stuff. And then they got the spiders that actually eat. They're carnivores, man. They eat actually small animals, rodents, birds, stuff like that. But imagine seeing a spider the size of the size of a woman's purse. That can be very unsettling to somebody who hadn't seen that before, right? Wow. Imagine seeing that thing crawling up the wall behind you. It's like, wow, how would something that heavy, how would it even get up a wall, right? I mean, does a spider like that big and heavy, can it even climb? I see some big spiders on walls, man, climbing. And you'd be like, how does that thing? Yeah, so the Waffle 2, he said it's the size of a quarter, but she said it's the size of a purse. Not trying to give you, any nightmares tonight, but there are things out there in the world that exist. So the reason I bring that up is because another safety tip that people tend to neglect is the venomous, dangerous insects that live in your house, at least parts of your house, that you don't necessarily go, like in the attic or the basement or maybe even under a kitchen cabinet in dark, damp places, or stuff like that. They tend to habitate in those areas. They can be pretty dangerous. That's why a lot of people get their houses fumigated, because they become sometimes they become havens for these poisonous insects, or these poisonous whatever it is, spiders. It can be a spider, a centipede, or something like that. Wasps. You get a hornet's nest and stuff. You see a hornet's nest, and it's big. Unless you have experience handling bees and hornet's nests and stuff like that, you may want to call the pros in. Okay, because don't try to be a hero. Don't try to be a hero. Okay, even with a small spider, right, or something like a black widow or something like that. I mean, those things are pretty fast. Okay, you know how fast those things can be. Yeah, you got to be prepared for all kinds of situations. When you're doing DIY projects, and so watch out. Don't stick your hand in dark places, under stuff. You don't know what's been living under there, right? And all it takes is that thing to bite you one time. Okay, they're pretty fast, and you may not even feel it. You may not even feel it. You may not even see the thing that bit you, right? So when you're cleaning, when you're doing renovation projects, watch out for, if when it comes to bees nests and hornets nests, those are kind of obvious, right? Because you see the bees flying around, you see the nest. But spiders are kind of a little sneakier, a little sneakier. Centipedes and stuff like that, they can just get you right there like that, and you won't even know it until later, and until your whole hand swells up and you're in the hospital or something like that. Okay, guys, you want to be careful. You want to take that in consideration. Not trying to give anybody arachnophobia here tonight. Okay, I'm really not. Oh, what's that? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I did like to see those old giant spider movies back in the days when I was a kid, though. Don't ask me why. Yeah, Perigo Life says in your cars too. Yeah, sometimes those you ever been driving and a big spider is like crawling across your windshield inside the car? It's like, wow, I mean, that's kind of that can make you have an accident if you have arachnophobia, right? I've seen some big garden spiders, man, crawling in the car. It's like, how'd you get in here? How do they get in there? I guess they crawl through the vents or something. I put in the car, or yeah, those things. I don't know how poisonous garden spiders are, though. I know they prey on insects and stuff like that. But yeah, guys. So when you're out there doing those projects, be careful, especially when you're moving stuff. You got, there's a lot of trash sitting in. If you got a lot of junk sitting somewhere for a long time, that's where those insects and creepy crawlies tend to accumulate. Waffle 2, I found 5 baby raccoons and their mama when I was clearing out a back porch and deck. Yeah, exactly. I was about to touch on that. Hey, the Waffle 2 of those, I'm sure the mama, when you was clearing the thing out, when you were clearing it out, did the mama act defensive and try to defend her babies like a mother bear? Because I know those raccoons, they can be pretty aggressive too. They can be pretty, and they can get pretty big, those raccoons, right? Right, the Waffle 2? Yeah. So that's a perfect example, right? You don't know what's living under those things that made a home for the time being, whether it's a spider or a raccoon or a roach or a centipede or a bee or a wasp. I mean, people get attacked by these things all the time, just not caring, right? How many times have we lifted up something and something came flying out of there? So always be prepared. Always be prepared for all kinds of situations when it comes to home renovations, especially if it's an old house that you're going to rehab or something like that. It's been, some abandoned house, or, it's all kinds of things make their home in those places, right? Right in your home, probably where you live. I put out garlic cloves because they do not like that. Wow. Hey, we learned something today, guys. The Waffle 2 said raccoons don't like garlic. Very interesting. I wonder why. It seems like garlic is the universal, what's the word for it? Amulet. You know how in those movies they have an amulet when they want to ward off like demons and stuff like that? They use garlic and stuff, vampires and stuff like that. I wonder what it is about garlic. I like it in my food, though. Yeah. I like it in my food. Not necessarily on my breath, but I like garlic in my food. It has a lot of medicinal qualities of garlic. Interesting tidbit there, the waffle too. Said you didn't try to approach them. I think the waffle too is pretty wise when it comes to certain situations. I sense some wisdom in the waffle too when it comes to those sticky situations there. Sticky stuff they sometimes do not like. Ah, interesting. Yeah, I was. Anybody know about eucalyptus oil when it comes to mosquitoes? Yeah, that's a pretty pungent, strong smell as well. You know, where I work, there's a lot of mosquitoes around there, a lot, and those things, man, they swarm, man. They just, it's like they huddle up in the morning and just say, okay, we're gonna attack this. We're gonna attack. And it's like they have a plan, and they come hard, but they seem to, the eucalyptus oil. It's pretty. The odor is pretty strong, and they seem to not want to mess with you when you have that on. So sometimes I spray eucalyptus oil on myself, and they stay away. Those mosquitoes are no joke. All right. As far as other safety tips, guys, let's see what else we want to talk about. We talked about creatures, and I did touch upon this next one here. It's called mold. I kind of touched on it in the video. My last, I don't think the last two videos I did about mold is that sneaky thing, right? That sneaks up on you. It could be behind your walls, and it needs moisture. Mold needs moisture to multiply, right? It needs moisture to live. It needs moisture to produce. Without moisture, you don't have mold, right? Everybody knows about mildew and all that. So you want to tackle that. I mean, if you're doing a renovation project, you want to make sure that there is no mold, especially bathrooms and stuff like that, where there's a lot of moisture. Kitchens, water heaters, around water heaters, under sinks, around your fridge, under your fridge, and stuff like that. Mold spores tend to accumulate in those areas, like I said, where moisture is. So you want to make sure that you inspect for mold, you inspect for moisture. I did a video on how to use a moisture meter. Go check that one out. And not necessarily, moisture meters don't find mold, they find moisture. Okay, and you need moisture for mold. Okay, so go check the video out on how to use a moisture meter. It's a handy little gadget there, and it's a digital read, and it's pretty handy. They got the different types with the prongs, and they have the ones with the pad. You just got to put it on your wall, slide it around, and it'll sound off for you. Okay, so look for mold, guys. That's one thing you want to. That's one thing you want to check for. One of the ways to avoid mold or kind of prevent it is you want ventilation. You want that's why they have the fans in the bathroom, right? You got the light with the light switch for the lights, and then you got the switch for the fan, right? That fan is to draw out all that moist air, take it out outside after you finish taking a shower or whatever, bath, all that water in there. That fan draws that moisture out of there, takes it outside. So, it prevents, at least it helps to prevent mold from forming in your bathrooms. Okay. All right. So, let me see here. Asbestos and lead, guys. How many people have a grandfather or grandmother who died because of asbestos at their workplace or something like that, right? They were working on something, and they got asbestos poisoning, and you can sue these companies years afterwards, right? And get money from them because of asbestos, right? Yeah, that stuff happens. I know a few people that are in litigation, or it's been litigated, and they're getting sums of money from companies that their grandfather or relative worked for, and died because of asbestos poisoning. So that's just how it is. Back in the days, they used to use that a lot. So you want to be careful of that. Lead poisoning. Hey, man, you got lead. You used to have lead in everything, like paint and all. They got lead-free paint now, and stuff like that. Even welding, right? Some of the welding equipment had lead in it, right? Some of the electrodes and stuff used to have lead in it, but now they have lead-free stuff too, because they found out what lead can do to you. It can kill you, right? So anytime you're doing a renovation project, especially on an older home, you want to inspect for that. You want to inspect for lead, stuff like that. Okay. Talked about hearing. You got to protect your ears. And fumes. This is the last thing I want to cover. Talk about welding a lot, or whatever you're doing, painting, creating a lot of dust. It's a lot of chemical fumes around. Guys, you want to invest in like a respirator, right? You can go online and find you a nice respirator that fits around your face. And if you like, even for welders, if you got some welders listening, they got respirators you can put your helmet over. They're not the big, gas mask looking type of respirators. They got the respirators with the really thin, what do you call those things? The round things that are right here. I guess, the pads, right? The filters. Yeah, that's it. With the really thin filters that you can wear them while you have your helmet down, right? And of course, they got larger ones, like if you're painting or something like that. Point being, guys, you got to protect your lungs, okay? Don't go out there and just, hey, I'm going to paint and all that, and you're inhaling all this stuff, okay? 5 years down the line, you're going to wish you wore that stuff. You wore the right safety equipment to protect your health. That comes first, okay? Comes first. Because you can get chemicals from, like I said, paints, even some carpeting and upholstery, right? Can give off certain chemicals when you're doing that stuff. So it's not just certain jobs or certain types of equipment that give it off. Find out if whatever you're doing, find out if this is hazardous to your health in some kind of way, and take the proper steps to protect your health, guys. Okay. What do you guys think? You guys think you guys learned something? I know I learned something from the Waffle 2. The Waffle 2 said, what the Waffle 2 said? Garlic. Raccoons don't like garlic. That's what I learned tonight. So I'm gonna make sure that I keep I keep garlic on me in case I run into a pack of raccoons that are out to get me. Okay, because they got the big the eyes and stuff. They sneak up on you, man. Those raccoons ain't nothing to play with. Waffle 2, I'm getting a respirator tomorrow after your good advice tonight. Hey, I appreciate that help. Yes, please go out there and get one. I need to get one. I use them sometimes, but I need to get my own. I mean, there are some at the shop, but and you got to clean them out too, obviously, right? Because you're breathing and stuff, saliva. So you also want to clean your respirator after you use it, right, to make it sanitary and stuff like that. Even if you're the only one using it, yeah, go get a respirator, guys. Get the right equipment, get the proper clothing, get a hard hat. Things do fall. Oh yeah, steel-toe shoes. I've learned the hard way, guys. I've worn just regular shoes, and I paid the price for it. I work around a lot of metal. I cut a lot of metal. I weld stuff like that. I do a lot of fabricating, and sometimes I'm negligent. I stuff fall on my feet, and it's heavy, and it hurts. Okay, so don't neglect your feet. All right, everything. Your hands, your feet. Get the right gloves. Get thick gloves for certain jobs. Don't get the thin ones because things can pierce thin gloves. Right? They can pierce thin gloves and get to you. Get the steel-toe shoes. Like I said, things do fall, heavy things, and you want to protect your toes. You want to protect your feet. What else can I think of here? Protect your neck. Yeah, that's right. Protect your neck. If you're doing any kind of grinding with an angle grinder that produce sparks or flying debris at projectiles that are moving like at very high speeds towards you, or can hit something, come back to you. You want to protect this area. Sometimes we wear the face shields, right, which is very important too. That covers the whole face, but it doesn't cover this area. So you want to button this up. All right, you want to button this whole area up right here, okay? Because sparks can get in there, dust can get in there, debris can get in there, and you'll feel it when it hits you. Okay, get a respirator for your nose. Get ear protection. Get ear. I think I have one. I thought I had. Yeah, something like this. Go to Home Depot or something, guys. Get something like this. And I'm probably gonna have this soon on on the website, calibrate.com, which is coming pretty soon, guys. I know I keep saying that, but it is. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. Okay, I'm gonna have, oh well, maybe not right away, but I'm definitely gonna be providing you guys with some of this stuff on the calibrate.com website. Guys, I appreciate you coming and joining me today. I just want, I try to help as much as I can, but I believe safety is first and foremost when it comes to anything DIY, any trade, anything like that. You got to have safety, and as your first priority, right? Because you can get hurt real fast out there doing it yourself. Okay, even if you're a professional, I mean, just not thinking and just thinking you can just neglect putting on your gloves, putting on your goggles, all these things we talked about tonight. We didn't talk about everything. You can go on for days about this, but I just want to drop in. I don't want to stay too long. Hope you guys, I don't know if you did, I'm not a Halloween guy, but if you did celebrate that, I hope you had a safe one, and I hope your kids got home safe. And well, you should be with your kids if they're out there doing that. I mean, this world is pretty crazy. Hey, Waffle Dude, learn a lot from you tonight. Steel toe shoes, hard hat, more ventilation, venom from insects, hoods to protect your neck, extra eye protection. Absolutely, guys. The Waffle Dude just spit everything I said tonight perfectly. When I say spit, I mean, that's a slang term. Spit game. Anyway, guys, read what the Waffle Dude says. Screenshot that. That's just some of the things that we need to take. That we need to take seriously. Okay, because you will pay the price. Something will happen. I can guarantee you that. I'm not wishing anything negative on anybody, but it just is what it is. It's a law of physics. Things fly around. Hot stuff burns. Loud stuff messes up your ears. It's just the law of physics. It's just how it is, and you got to learn how to, just when you go out there, think about you're going into a war zone to a degree, right? You're going into battle, and you have to have the right equipment, right? You have to have the right armor on, and don't neglect that stuff because you can't pay the price. Man, I got an arm full of burn marks and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can't see it now, but it's crazy. So, hey guys, I appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Everybody, love you guys. Come on in next time. Hopefully, I have something interesting to talk about then. Ciao, ciao, girl. Good to see you again. Perigirl Life Notes, always good to see you. Waffle 2, been such a pleasure. And I'll see you guys in the next one.